Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Somewhere in the world, it's one of those times. But I'm time, and you don't really have time for time unless you're here now, in which case you've made time for time, and we're going to have an interesting conversation. At least I hope it's interesting. I have Harris and Bruce with me, and I'm not quite sure what we're going to discuss, but I'm sure we'll discuss the heck out of it. Howdy, Harris. Howdy, Bruce. Welcome to the new way where we take everything we thought we knew and weigh it again.
Oh, the new way.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Lenny. I'm telling you, Lenny. I love you, bro.
Love you guys.
So, maybe what's going on in the world is not really real, and it's just newsprint that they're telling us is real, and
Come on.
there's really not any
Come on,
war.
come on. No, come on, Lenny. Come on. There's no fucking way that the stuff you're telling us isn't real. They want it to be real. It's real. It's totally real. It's so real, even real people think it's real.
Nothing is real. There's nothing to get hung about. There's strawberry fields forever.
Strawberry first forever. Okay.
And Queen, at the end of the Bohemian Rhapsody, said that nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters to me. So, if you take the benefits of 1970s, 1980s rock and roll, you've got much better philosophy than what is pushed by lamestream media today.
Oh, no question about it. They had it all going on back then, you know. They had it all going on back then. They did, you know. So how lucky are we that we were exposed to that, you know? Because these poor fucking assholes that they don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's waving. Okay, yeah, I'll wave too. Yeah, they don't get it. They just don't get it.
Well, you see, I have a theory that everybody gets what they believe is reality.
Oh,
and so we can construct our own reality.
Let's just. Should we talk about this, or are you willing to just just think fuck yeah, I'm so that what the fuck.
You are so stoned. It's a good thing to be. I'll be back in a moment.
All right.
By the way, Bruce, one of my favorite sayings is that reality is stranger than fiction. So
say that again, Harris. I'm sorry.
Reality is stranger than fiction.
Reality is stranger than fiction. Well, and you're right about that. You're right about that. There's no question that you're right about that. Reality is stranger than fiction.
Yeah. So, how is everything going in your side of the world?
Well, I think there's times when I just want to go to sleep and just not be conscious of any of it. Okay. I just want to go to sleep. Yeah. Yeah.
That feeling.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah.
I think you probably can. The Twilight Zone. All right, Lenny. All right. Yeah, I think you probably can. And it's fucking really bizarrely stupid how stupid things are. It's bizarrely stupid.
No, it's just not real.
Well, it is real. That's a problem with it, Lenny. It's that it is real.
Israel has nothing to do with whether it's real or not.
Hang on now. Okay, wait. I think maybe I need I had a drink here somewhere. Where the hell is it? Jesus.
And reality is real. So
I think there's multiple realities and that we can shape our own reality. And all I have to do is go wander in the woods with the mushrooms and the trees, and everything's at peace. And if I don't come back out of the forest,
and you're
it'll
right.
all go away.
They really do have it together. You know, they really do have it together. There's no question about it. You know.
But we have to go pick a fight with the next guy down the road. I do not understand that. What we should do is we should offer each other coffee.
Well, I'm just gonna offer you another bowl.
Okay.
Look at that shit, huh?
It's how it has to work. You see, this is what they meant on that old TV show, Bowling for Dollars. It wasn't rolling this heavy rock at bowling pins. It was smoking good reefer.
There we go. There we go. Fuck yeah. You know, like these, like most of the people never got it anyway. You know, I mean, you know, some of us got it, but we were lucky that we did. You know.
What do we get, really, by understanding what's going on when we can't change it at all? Or is it that we can change it and we don't want to change it?
No, I think it's like, I think if you could change it, you'd want to change it. I think so. You know, come on, Lenny. I know you well enough to know that if you could change it, you would change it.
Yes, and I've got several ways of influencing the world with my friends like Vermin Supreme, who's running for president.
Do you really know Vermin Supreme?
I know him enough to talk to him, and he knows me by name, but no, I've never really met him and smoked a bowl with him. I smoked a virtual bowl with him because
you know, that was the least you could do, is smoke a virtual bowl with virtual. You know, what the fuck, you know? I mean, he's a personality, man. He's a real personality, and I like the guy. All right? I like the guy, but he's a little out there, all right? But I like the guy.
He's an actor in a role, and his role gets more attention than most people because he's consistent. Back in the day, we had Pat Paulson who did the same thing.
What do you call that thing that we're on now, Lenny? I'm sorry. A virtual reality network, right?
Right.
VNA.
We are virtually not alone.
Virtually not alone. Okay.
We're together.
All together, we can raise, maybe 7-8 people if we desire to. We could get Grizz here, but Grizz is en route to Wisconsin right now, where he is headed off to a major league prime rib barbecue.
Oh,
I'm jealous.
Grizz, how about that shit, huh? Wow.
But, you know, California isn't close to Wisconsin.
No, and like you said, a mouthful there, Lenny. California is not close to Wisconsin. So if you want to just focus for just a minute on Wisconsin, let's do that. Let's focus on Wisconsin for a minute.
Do we get to watch the Packers?
Focusing on Wisconsin.
We got to be Packer fans if we're in Wisconsin, right?
I'm telling you. Yeah.
But they also have the Brewers. Between the Packers and the Brewers, Wisconsin's fairly nicely represented.
Oh, the Packers and the Brewers?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of the Packers, of course, but I've been familiar with all kinds of Brewers, but I'm not sure about those guys.
They're in the National League Central, and they beat up on teams like the Cubs and the Cardinals.
Oh, really? And they're Brewers?
They're Brewers.
Oh, well, somebody's got
they've also got the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah,
like the
somebody said
Milwaukee
to me that
Bucks right now because they stole Portland's point guard.
Ah. I like Giannis and the Antetokounmpo.
Yes, yes, he's a Greek and he's probably the best player in the country.
Yeah, he's a nice kid. He's a nice guy. Interesting story that man has. Very
Okay.
interesting. He started from nothing. Like his parents were immigrants from Nigeria. It was him and another three brothers, and he was actually him and his brothers were going into the marketplace just to sell CDs to help with the rent, let's say the family. And there is one video where Yannis was following the steps of his brother that he also plays. He was playing basketball in a small team in a small league in Greece,
Mhm.
and somebody came from the US to scout. So they actually saw him and they liked him, and they were interviewing him like, what do you want to become when you grow up? And Yannis' response says, I want to become an NBA player. So that was a really nice, yeah, the Greek Freak. It was a really nice video that is still around on YouTube land.
No, I am impressed by the way that the NBA goes out and recruits the best players no matter where they're from
Yeah,
and lets them play.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Almost every other sport is Amero-centric, and
Mm-hmm.
there's mostly Americans. Well, I guess baseball took over the Dominican Republic and the Caribbean area, so we get a lot of Latinos from that area as baseball players. But it's only now that we're starting to get a few people like Shohei Ohtani and Kota Sengai from Japan. And it would seem to me that people are people everywhere and everybody has the same natural abilities to start out, but it depends on which direction you use them. Nationality isn't something to hold against somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. That's a good point, Lenny.
Yeah.
Well, especially for the three of us. I mean, come on. I mean, look at Harris. Harris is up there. Harris is at risk. Okay, Harris is at risk. And like where he is.
Doubt it. I
What?
think there is no chance that there is going to be a military engagement in Cyprus as part of
Yeah.
this war.
Well, no, probably not. But I mean, he's really close. Really close.
It's close to the source of the things and the
Yeah.
whole action that is going on.
Yeah.
There is this whole turbulence situation that I really hope that it doesn't go into the Mediterranean. Not not that I want to go from the other side, but as we were discussing before, like in Yemen and all of that. But yeah, things are getting really difficult, let's say, here
Yeah,
in
it's,
that
it's
regard.
pretty crazy. It's crazy. All right,
Yeah.
so I imagine it must be even more difficult where you are, Harris, because my friend, you are in a like you're in the fucking Eastern Mediterranean. You're just offshore of Israel.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people don't even
Hey.
know where the fuck Cyprus is.
I
They
know.
I'm in danger where I live. I'm near San Francisco.
All right, well, so fine. You're nowhere near Cyprus, that's for sure.
No, but the security based on what's going on in San Francisco is enough to freak anybody out.
Yeah, fuck yeah, yeah.
They are leaving that city in droves, I understand. That you can't walk around at night or you might step into a puddle of poo. Yeah. Why would anybody want to go to a place like that?
The 10 cities The 10 cities in San Francisco are legion. Let's face it. You know.
Well, you got tent cities in Portland. I understand that if you go up I-5, as soon as you get within between Salem and Portland, it's like one big tent city in
Wow.
that area.
Wow.
And so I don't know what's going on. I sometimes wonder if it's not a choice, but I went homeless for years by choice.
But for other people, it is not a choice. It's a choice for some, but not for others.
Neutrino says that she and Biden are supposed to be there next week. I hope that's downtown Gaza.
I hope Biden shows up. That'll really make things better. Yeah. Oh,
it would be nice to send all our politicians from every country to Gaza, and the World Economic Forum, and all these pseudo politicians that call themselves NCOs.
Yeah.
You bet. And I think we could do a lot of good by exporting everyone who shows any interest in politics. Just let them go somewhere else and do their political thing. We need anarchy. Oh, okay. Biden and Xi are going to be in San Francisco, not in Gaza. I guess I misinterpreted it.
Yeah, well,
never mind.
You know, you're allowed. You're allowed. You know, you're a special. You're a special.
I'm extremely loud.
Yeah.
I can wear a lampshade at a party.
Am I loud? Am I that loud?
That's loud.
I apologize for being quite that loud.
So yesterday I was on air in an audio show.
Yeah.
And I got to talk about a number of different things that are different than we usually talk about.
Right.
Would you like me to send it over to you so that you can listen to it?
Oh, sure. Why not?
I liked it.
You already heard it, Harris?
Yeah, it was a good one.
Good. All right. Well, then I'm in. Count me in.
Okay. We've got a watcher out there who sneakily may be the general, but since the general is on the road, it's probably not him. It's probably a doppelganger.
It's Grim.
No, it's him.
It's Grim.
Yeah.
It's Chris.
It's got to be. We wish you luck on the road, and we're enviously drooling over that multitude of meat that Chad has ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
marinated meat.
You don't eat meat?
No, I am just saying that meat of Chad is marinated meat, so it has to be good ribs.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that Chad is the guy in Wisconsin. Chad, the alcoholic. Yeah. He's almost like you, except different. I think that's the way most people are. We're almost like each other. We look like each other. We've got extremities that act the same way, but each of us is actually very different. And we come from perspectives that need to be honored in the first person. And right now I get the idea that politicians disrespect everybody who's not a lobbyist or a politician or a multi-gazillionaire. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really have time for those sort of people. Medical doctors, very similar. A friend of mine, Patrick Starnes, is going to be running from the Pacific Green Party for president to get his word out about things like campaign finance reform and other things. And he's a very reasonable person. He's a carpenter. And nobody will vote for him because he's too reasonable. You have to be an extremist in either Russia, or Trump. And those are the only two choices. So, like,
Well, there's more than two choices, Lenny. But I mean, you're right. You're right. That's where we're at.
well, he's running against this woman named Jill Stein.
Oh,
And I
I like
went and looked
Stein.
up I looked up Jill Stein, and the first thing on her website said that she's a Harvard educated doctor. If you want to really repel the American public, say that you're from the Ivy League and look down on people from the perspective of a medical doctor.
All right, but she's actually pretty good.
Why?
Well, she's the last person. She's the last person in the United States of America that I voted for,
Oh, that's interesting.
and that was quite a while ago. That was like many years ago. So don't hold it against me too much.
I'm glad you gave up voting. That was a very wise decision
Well, there's no
because
fucking
all the
question.
time
It's
you
not
spend
if you're
deciding who to vote
I'm
for
in a
doesn't
democratic
matter.
state. All right. There's no fucking way I could vote any way I want to. I could vote for Trump like all day long, and I don't really care for Trump quite that much, and it would have no consequence in uh, Rhode Island because Rhode Island is just that democratic.
Well, the Democratic Party has figured out a way to print multiple ballots so that all they have to do is run ballots that have already been punched into the system, and they can pick up hundreds of thousands of votes in states like Pennsylvania and Georgia.
Yeah. So they cheat, and so they cheat and they cheat. Thank you
And
very
then they
much.
cheat a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, they cheat a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with Neutrino that the concept of Trump overrides the personality of Trump, but nothing overrides the personality of Trump. So you've got these people who just totally hate Trump, who've never actually listened to a word of what he said or have a reason to hate him. I
Right,
just wish they weren't sitting on the bench of his trial.
right. Yeah, good point. It's a good point.
At this point, I think that there's some athletes that are trying to get into politics. I know Herschel Walker ran for Senate in Georgia this past year and lost in a recount. But, who knows if he lost or won. But the idea that Americans respect politicians and athletes and actors and performers it's just unreal. We have a system where we elect people based on geography. Why don't we elect people based on profession and let all the chemists like me get together and choose a couple chemists to go to DC
Right.
and all the plumbers choose a couple plumbers to go to DC,
Well, they're chemists also.
teachers, and if each profession had a number of representatives based on how many of them there were in the professional organizations within their purview, at least they'd have something that they represent. Whereas right now, the only thing that's represented by anybody in Congress is moneyed factions.
Right.
And campaign finance
You're right.
reform
You're so right.
is something that's desperately needed, but the courts need to kick out Citizens United and get rid of the idea that corporations are people and allow people to have a chance to be people again. Because right now, everything is based on the money. And the money doesn't really matter. I can do just as well without money than with money. But if I had an unlimited source of funds, I'd figure out how to get everything I need and then put the rest of the money to use helping other people get everything that they need.
Mhm.
There's no need to hoard anything if everybody has access to anything. But most people want what they're told to want by a commercial advertisement that tells you to smash the button and leave a thumbs up, when what in the world does that have to do with anything? If I wanted people to do something, I want everybody who's listening to this to take a little time and think about what it is that they actually want.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't know what they want. They just want to be ornery and contemplate how to yank somebody's chain
Yeah.
or something like that.
I think at best people want to follow the leader, whatever that leader is. At worst, they don't know what is going on, and they
Well,
just
like what kind of a leader do we have to find now? Follow. All right. Come on. You can't say that Joe Biden is any kind of a leader that we can follow.
Oh no, the only leader that I actually follow, you're looking at right here on the screen.
Oh yeah. Well, same with me. Here I am. I mean, there's RFK Jr. who's got something going on.
Maybe, but he's putting out words that are.
He's a fucking politician.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's a politician,
Yeah.
and what he says he can't be held accountable for any of it.
Well,
And while he seems like he's a good guy, he seems like a good guy, but he wants to give reparations to the Black Indians. It's one of the reasons I won't vote for my friend Patrick. Well, I don't vote. That's the thing. Voting is consent, and I don't consent to the system at all. So we understand where we're coming from, and we thank Grizz for the timeline that we have and the way time works. We can change from our perspective, but we can't see the results of a change we make until we come through and go through it again in a different consciousness, which we won't achieve because we're in the consciousness that we're watching on screen right now. So the only way for me to change consciousness would be to pass on and come back as somebody else. And I don't think I have to do that. I think I can pass and come back as myself, but on a different timeline.
Yeah, I don't think. I think you. I think you got something going on there. Yeah, there you go. All right.
I definitely have something going on, and people confuse science and magic. And science really is magic, except that they manage to jimmy the deck so that when you're not looking, something slid in. So what they give you as science has to be proven by experiments that you can set up to get the result that you want instead of a result that you're inquisitive about. And for when I was doing science, my goal was to understand what was going on, not to prove a theory that I had to someone else that told them what was going on.
Yeah,
But it seems to me
you were being real about it. Thank you very much.
Well, everything is real, and there's something to get hung about. Wait, no, wrong lines. Sorry, can that. The reality of the situation is that I no longer trust the reality of the situation.
In my case, I find it that me myself, I am, let's say, my harshest critic. I try to be way more uh, strict with my own ideas, let's say, than I expect anyone else be. So if I want to present something to the world, let's say, first I have to spend years thinking. So I remember someone saying that there is too much things already out there. So even adding a small bit causes nausea. So
Nausea.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you don't want any nausea.
No, no.
No,
I'm under the impression that there is a lot more going on in the individual lives of people than we can see from the collective results of what we have. I know that when I was out in the working world, I was working with an engineering firm that was contracted to Hamilton Standard, which was contracted to Boeing, which was contracted to NASA. And so my specific project was working on cleaning up water so that they could go to Mars without having to reload the water supply in the craft. And I believed in what we were doing, and I invented a process that took urea and isopropyl alcohol out of the cycled water that they had to continually recycle, both of which were getting through filters because of the nature of their chemical constituency.
right.
But I figured out how to take an enzyme and bind it to a solid support and use that to change each of those molecules into something else that could then be attracted to charcoal based on charge. And so I wrote all this up, and that's what they brought me in for. And when it comes time where they apply for the patent, the big bosses and my boss are on the patent, and I'm not on it at all. And so here is somebody who came out of school for 12 years, who believes in the system and does exactly what the system tells him to do, and gets totally screwed over for doing it properly. And you don't have any say. When you go to work, you sign these agreements that give all your work to the company and have a non-disclosure so you can't talk with other people in any detail. And the whole legal system that protects this shit needs to go down. It's just, we can't work in a system that gives banks the ability to print money, and we don't have the ability to print money. In fact, we have to take a loan at interest. I think that's usury. But you look at the power companies. Do the power companies actually generate the power that they sell us, or do they flip a switch and it comes? Okay, Bruce, what did you have to say?
Well, no, I just say you think so. I mean, come on. I mean, you know what you just said is completely and utterly true.
Right. And so it's incumbent on us, the people, to look at things differently, create a new system, and essentially just be a non-player character in the old system and hang out, do the things they expect you to do, smile and say thank you. And yeah, I need to get Grizz to send me some of his branding, because at this point I'd love to go to the Muppets. Is everything all right? Yes, mommy. That would have been the perfect brand to throw in at that time.
Yeah.
I find myself frustrated because I've been watching Grizz mostly on my phone, because I don't have the bandwidth to stream things that just watching on the computer. And all of the emojis that are available when you're on your computer are not there on the phone. You have a choice of a very minimized YouTube set of emojis that don't say anything. And Grizz, you get shout outs for the whole idea of having people put emojis up when certain actions go on screen because it's first in participation. And I know that I'm frustrated because YouTube doesn't have a missile emoji and I'm never in the room. Anybody want a soda? It's all classic. Grim has taken now playing Dungeons and Dragons on air through his YouTube site with actual dice rolling and monsters and that all set out in his cafe.
Yeah.
And so it looks
Well,
like
good for Grizz, man. That's cool. Good for Grizz.
It's great, and the game mechanics is great, and the way of the interaction and how he thinks of the whole. Let's say each game, he thinks like a dungeon master. So he prepares the whole thing. He puts a lot of effort into it. It's great.
And what I've found from being a dungeon master is that a lot of times you have something set up and your players decide right at the start to do something else and you never get there. And so it takes a lot of work to have backup plans and different ways of redirecting your characters. But it's like a live action role play hosting a role play RPG. And the buy-in that you get from the audience and the interaction is what I think makes Grizz's network the best network on YouTube. But I'm biased because I don't know what else is out there. So this week,
for me, it's the best dog. So sorry for interrupting.
No, I think you're right. I think I enjoy what he does. I don't necessarily agree with any of his speakers. And he hasn't really been having too many fringe encounters lately. We can have Bruce and Grizz do a fringe encounter. That might be interesting.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, might be.
Yeah.
A fringe encounter is your first meeting where you get to talk with somebody one-on-one. So you could talk to Grizz about what he's doing. He can talk to you about what you're doing. And I have a feeling that would be one of the more entertaining conversations because it's tough to stay on your map.
I'm telling you. Thank you, Lenny. I agree. I think it'll be a really interesting concept.
I'm thinking of repurposing my channel a little bit to be more of a game show. I'm still working on the mechanism of how to do it, but within a year, I want to have it so that we can have a panel of people in some sort of fun competition getting reschooled in how the world really works and looking at things together from different perspectives to be able to call bullshit on the pablum that they fed us in
you're
the
really getting out there now, Lenny.
I'm trying to. I even have a dome
there now, bro.
Yeah. That's a cool concept, Doc. I was also looking into something.
That's a good concept.
Something that has to do with open source intelligence and how we can relearn, let's say, the basics and how we can validate, let's say, if something is fake or not. and that idea with the panel sounds really good. So yeah.
I remember back in the 1960s and early 70s, they had a
Mhm.
TV show that I never missed called the GE College Bowl. And GE stood for General Electric. They were the sponsors. And different colleges and universities would find 4-player team, and the two teams would pair off. There'd be 8 people. They'd all have little buzzers. And when the guy was asking the question, whoever thought they knew the answer would hit the button. And you're competing against 7 other people. So depending on how the thing is phrased, as soon as the questioner hears a buzzer, he stops and lets
Yeah.
that person answer the question. And sometimes they answer a question that is nowhere close to where the guy was going. And other times they'd be right on, and you'd say, wow, how did he know that?
Yeah.
But there's so many old TV game shows from way back when that would serve an educational purpose. I remember watching the show Who, What, Where, where they had different odds on the questions of who, what, or where. And they'd give you a scenario and you'd bid to answer one of the questions. Or they had shows like the Match Game, not the one where they had all the entertainers cracking stupid jokes and getting drunk, but the original Match Game had one star and 2 normal people, and they'd have to match their answers on a card to something like blank days. And so you could give school days or happy days or whatever type of thing you want, but you got to match these other 2 people. And Password, the original Password game, was such a good show. And then
Yeah.
somebody at the $64,000 question show got into the idea that people would be more entertained if you actually fed the answers to the contestants. And then, of course, they got caught. And all of a sudden, all the shit came down and all the game shows went away. And now we're
Yeah.
stuck with Whoopi Goldberg and all these talk show hosts who don't have a clue as to what they're talking about. And the one good thing that television had became no good things that television has.
Yeah, geez.
I remember there was a really nice game in back in the 60s, if I am not mistaken, in the US. It was called What's My Line? And they were inviting people, and the 4 panelists were blindfolded, and they were asking questions to the guests, let's say, in order to figure out who that person was. And one of my favorite episodes is the one where they invited Salvador Dali. So they were trying to
Salvador
figure,
Dali?
yeah,
Wow.
and they were trying to figure out this all-around man, let's say,
Wow.
and it was very fun.
Still, that must have been. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, now on YouTube, you can find a lot of these old game shows in rerun
Mhm.
because the copyright has run out. And so
Yeah.
different YouTube people now are streaming things like the Match Game and some of the shows. Uh, Groucho Marx had a show, You Bet Your Life, was it?
Mm.
Or something like that, where he'd
Okay.
interview people and try and get them to say the secret word and make the duck drop out of the ceiling. It was, I don't know. There are some things worth watching from old times to remember what old times were like, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the history of old times that we lived through is the history of the current world that we have, I think a lot of people in this world don't remember back that far because they weren't here back then. And concepts that are second nature to us, like rotary phones, kids now look at it and wonder what the heck that was used for. And don't
Yeah.
just a phone switchboard, the old type touch cables. I learned how to do that like just before it all went away.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. I think we're close to an hour now of broadcast. 45 minutes. And so, in wishing to keep this under an hour, let me give each of you 5 minutes or so to tell something to me that I don't really know that I can think about for entertainment this week.
All right, Harris, you go first.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. So, I want to say, uh, I just wanted to reiterate a bit on what you said with the idea for the new, let's say, path for your channel. That's really nice, and you have to explore it even further. I am sure you can get some ideas from Grim himself. He passed through a lot, so he knows what works more or less, and I'm sure he can imagine ways that he didn't eventually, let's say, materialize in his own channel, and he will be happily to share them with you. Maybe they work in what you want to do. So that will be
One of the
nice to
things
explore. Mhm.
I really like the idea that Grizz uses to have audience participation affect savings throws, because
Yeah.
that way it gives everybody a reason to stay with the stream. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
good at going through a stream that's live for about 20, 30 minutes and then having to go off and do something else. But for
Mhm.
Grizz's stream, if I'm participating in a stream, I try and shut off everything else and stay there on his channel.
Yeah. And just to add something small, I think that it also serves a dual purpose, that thing. It serves what you said in terms of keeping the interaction flowing, but in a way, he's also teaching us how to deal with mind control. So I even got myself sometimes watching other videos unrelated and saying to myself, I need my saving throws to continue listening to that right now. So yeah, that's
Well,
something.
just make yourself a tinfoil hat.
I have my
And
helmet.
oh,
It
right, you do have your helmet.
it
That
works
should help
quite well.
protect you from savings throws, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And the amount of bullshit that we get in any media anymore is way excessive. And so having a way of dealing with being able to turn off the mind control works very
Mhm.
well. Maybe in another
Yeah.
episode, though, we can talk deeper about the concept of mind control, because the way I see it, a lot of people are Bernays followers and use
Hmm.
mind control as a tactic to sell something.
Hmm.
But mind control, when used as a discipline for yourself,
Hmm.
if you can control your own mind and not let it go down those roads you don't want to hoe, I think that there's more to the idea of mind control than we let on. And there's also a lot of mind control in the devious space, like MK Ultra and that.
Uh-huh.
And how that works, if people are aware of it, there's a lot of constructed reality that comes about that is just mind control.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think this second definition you gave, I think it's the most correct one. And not only from the psychological perspective, let's say, but even if I allow myself here to draw a metaphorical link, even from the so-called alchemical tradition, like to be able to control one's sensory stimuli, let's say, and to say like right on the spot, that's good, that's not good, or as I say it, bad thought, put that one out away. So it's very important, and most people they are not even aware of that second, let's say, definition of mind control, and just go with the marketing one that the marketeers use to sell products, let's say, especially luxury goods.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be some new ways of dealing things, but it'll take a little time to get set. Welcome back, Bruce.
I just went to get a little glass of wine here.
I see.
Actually, it was more complex than that, but I can't quite explain it all.
No need to. We trust you. Wine is important. Women are important, and song is probably the most important to the three.
What?
Wine, women, and song. Probably song is more valuable than the wine or the women.
Oh, there's no question about that. And lately, I've been without song because, you know, who is it? YouTube. YouTube. I have a blocker, like an ad blocker, right? And so I've been listening to YouTube, videos, listening to my music for years now. Years. YouTube will not allow me to listen to a music video anymore. I have to submit myself to their ads.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like network TV.
Yeah.
Network TV.
Yeah, I've noticed that certain people who I watch have excessive YouTube ads. Other people who I no longer watch started shilling projects as ads during their presentation. It seems to me that I got into a world where I wanted no commerce, but I still wanted equitable trade exchange. And
Mm-hmm.
so I stopped spending money or doing anything that cost money beyond filling the gas tank and buying food, because there is really no alternative. When you go to the grocery store,
You gotta have
they're
that
not
at
going to
least.
barter with you.
You gotta have that at least, yeah. Exactly.
But I was able to get my spending in a month to zero. And once
Really?
I saw that I could get an entire month without spending anything, I considered it a success, and then went back to spending money for the things that I wanted to spend money on.
There you go.
And so I
What?
kind of figured that you have to treat yourself well. At least once or twice a week, I'll go out to eat instead of cooking for myself. I think I cook better than most of the restaurants I eat at, but
Mm-hmm.
just getting rid of the things that are necessary. Hey, Brad, it's good to see you after all these years, or not see you. At some point later on, you'll have to become a guest on the show and we'll catch up. But this one is wrapping up, so My friend Brad runs Triad Audio, and
Cool.
it is mask mind control when you travel the world. But each state has its own rules, so you never know what you're playing by. All right,
Right.
my friends, I am going to give this a wrap up. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. I am
Here
on
we
the
are.
lookout for people who I can interview one on one to find out where they're coming from and give audience to people who have different ideas on potential ways of doing things that we already do in a systematic way. I want to look at options to bypass the system. So the idea that we can't get there from here operates and we don't have to try and get anywhere from here. I just want to look at alternatives like running cars on gasoline. There got to be, we can run cars on water. So why aren't we allowed to? Because of corporations. Uh, I blame things on corporations, but that's a faceless way of saying people with lots more money than I have bought the system. And so, totally new system required.
Yeah, well, it is. It is. And we have access to that system too. That's the thing that's so cool about it is we have
Yeah,
access to that system.
right. And you can't give up that access. That makes it hard. But you can minimize the access and create new so that when something falls apart, there's something else to bring in that's completely different.
Yeah, I would love to have the option to opt out and go off the grid, let's say, instead, like go with the second option. And not only for me, for everyone, to have that type of second option, let's say. So, okay. Okay, gentlemen, it was great. I will leave you. Thank you and stay safe and talk to you soon. Bye.
Good to see you,
Okay.
Harris.
Always. Bye from me.
Well, Bruce, it was good to
See you,
talk with
Lenny.
you again.
See you, bro. Yeah,
Sometime over the weekend, I'll get a hold of you again
yeah.
and we'll continue our conversations. Be well,
All right.
everybody. We're going to sign off. This has been Dr. Lenny Time.
And El Brujo Oaxacan.
And I didn't close that out right because I didn't end the stream before I left the studio. So thanks everyone for listening and be well. And be well.